Today we're going to talk about an ancient festival that was a precursor to Valentine's Day. It's about the Lupercalia, an unusual and even somewhat strange Roman festival for the modern man dedicated to fertility, love, and purification. Let's move to ancient Rome and find out how it was celebrated, what traditions were linked to it, and why it's so important to history. The Lupercalia was a festival in ancient Rome, celebrated every year on February 15th. Its roots go back to very ancient times. Even before the founding of Rome, it is believed to be related to the legend of Romulus and Remus, the founders of the Eternal City. According to tradition, a she-wolf nursed them in a cave at the foot of the Palatine Hill. Exactly, this cave, called the Lupercal, gave its name to the festival. It's interesting that it was considered a sacred place and access was limited. Only the priests and a few chosen ones could enter it, especially during the celebration of the rituals. The Lupercalia were dedicated to Faunus, the god of fertility, forests, and shepherds. He was also known as Lupercus, which means protector against wolves. The festival symbolized purification, renewal, and awakening from nature after winter, but above all, it was related to the fertility of both the land and the people. Back then, people relied heavily on nature, and these festivals helped them feel a connection with the gods whom they believed governed their destinies. The festival began with an unusual ritual. The priests, called Luperci, would gather in the sacred Lupercal cave where they would sacrifice a goat and a dog. The goat symbolized fertility and the dog purification. After the sacrifice, the priests would strip down to the waist and prepare for the main act. This moment was very important because nudity symbolized a return to nature, to the origins of life. The priests would rub their bodies with the blood of the sacrificed animals and then purify themselves with milk. It was a symbol of death and rebirth that accompanied many ancient rituals. Next, the Luperci would take straps made from the skin of the sacrificed goat and run out into the streets of Rome. They would run around the Palatine Hill and whip everyone who crossed their path. They made an effort to hit the women because it was believed that this kind of strike brought fertility and made childbirth easier. The women themselves would offer to receive the blows. Believing in the magical power of the ritual, it's interesting that this rite was not only symbolic but also had a practical meaning. The strikes with the straps stimulated blood circulation, which, according to the ancients, promoted health and well-being. This rite seems strange to us today, but for the ancient Romans, it was an important part of life. They believed that this way they could protect themselves from evil spirits, strengthen their health, and ensure prosperity. Moreover, the Lupercalia was a time when social norms were relaxed and people could enjoy more freedom. It was a festival that brought everyone together, from common citizens to the nobility. Although the Lupercalia were mainly related to fertility, they were also connected to love. During the festival, young people participated in a kind of lottery. The girls would write their names on tablets and toss them into a special container. The boys would take out the tablets, and that's how couples were formed, who could become lovers during the festival or even for the whole year. This tradition was not just entertainment, but also a way to strengthen social bonds. At that time, marriages were often for convenience, and these lotteries gave young people the chance to experience feelings that could lead to true love. This tradition is reminiscent of modern associations with Valentine's Day, when people exchanged declarations of love and gifts, but in ancient Rome, everything was much simpler and more straightforward. Love and fertility were inextricably linked, and the festival of Lupercalia reflected this connection. People believed that the gods would bless their families and help them raise healthy children. Additionally, the Lupercalia served as a kind of reminder of the natural laws that govern human life. Relationships between men and women were seen not only from the perspective of feelings, but also as an important part of the life cycle, the continuation of the species, and the strengthening of society. The rituals of this festival which seemed barbaric in later times, had a deep symbolism and reflected the ideas of the ancient Romans about the harmony of man with nature. It's interesting that, unlike the modern Valentine's Day, which is filled with a romantic atmosphere, the Lupercalia had a more physical and even playful character. For example, participating in the festive races with whips. It wasn't seen as an aggressive action, but rather a symbolic touch to the power of nature that favored fertility and health. Some young couples that formed during the festival would get married. Later on, this confirms the social importance of this tradition. In this way, although the way of expressing love has changed over the centuries, the essence remains the same. People seek closeness, unity, and to find a partner to share their life with. With the expansion of Christianity, many pagan festivals, including the Lupercalia, began to lose significance. In the 5th century, Pope Gelasius then banned the celebration of the Lupercalia, deeming it pagan and unacceptable for Christians. However, some elements of the festival were preserved. For example, the tradition of seeking a partner and expressing feelings. It transformed into the one most familiar to us, Valentine's Day. Interestingly, Pope Gelasius I not only banned the festival but also tried to replace it with a Christian equivalent. He declared February 14th as the feast of Saint Valentine, who, according to legend, secretly married lovers despite the emperor's prohibition. Thus, the Christian Church tried to give a new meaning to the ancient traditions. Although the Lupercalia disappeared a long time ago, their influence can still be seen in modern traditions. The idea of a festival dedicated to love and fertility is still alive today. We continue to celebrate Valentine's Day, although in a more romantic way, and the tradition of giving gifts and declaring love. It possibly has its origins in the Lupercalia of ancient Rome. Today, we give each other flowers, chocolate, and cards, but the essence remains the same. It's a celebration that reminds us of the importance of love and human relationships. It's interesting that the Lupercalia wasn't the only festival related to fertility and love. In different cultures, there were similar traditions, each of which reflected the unique ideas of each people about nature, love, and divine protection. For example, the ancient Greeks had a festival in honor of the goddess of love, Aphrodite, called the Aphrodisia. This day was celebrated differently in each city-state, but in general, it was dedicated to glorifying beauty, love, and the continuation of the species. In the city of Corinth, where the worship of Aphrodite was particularly developed, her temple not only served as a place of worship, but also as a center for ritual prostitution, which, according to Greek beliefs, contributed to the well-being of society. In Athens, on this day, white doves were sacrificed, birds dedicated to the goddess, while young people adorned themselves with flowers and organized games and feasts. The Celts had the festival of Beltane, which marked the beginning of the warm season and the blooming of nature. It was celebrated on the night of May 1st by lighting huge bonfires that symbolized purification and fertility. It was believed that couples who jumped over the fire would become one. They received the blessing for a happy life and the birth of healthy children. On this night, young people could choose partners and often. Traditional marriage vows were sealed right after Beltane. Additionally, on this day, ritual dances and sacrifices were organized for the gods to ensure the fertility of the fields and livestock. The ancient Germans had similar traditions and worshipped the goddess of love and fertility, Freya. The festivals in their honor were accompanied by rites related to invoking fertility, and, in some regions, the priests and priestesses performed ritual marriages that symbolized the union between people and the gods. All these festivals share a common idea: the glorification of life, love, and nature. However, the Lupercalia stand out for their unique mix of rituals, which combine joyful and even playful elements, with serious rites of purification and sacrifices. Unlike many other festivals, the Lupercalia were closely related, not only with love but also with protection against misfortune and evil spirits. Their traditions might seem harsh or even rough, but for the ancient Romans they symbolized something more: renewal, harmony with nature, and the protection of the gods.